Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today is making his second trip to the site. And as I said the first time, he and his music have played a big role in my life. He's about to release his 14th record called The Day the Earth Stood Still, and he's always on the road with the best live show this side of E Street. Please welcome my friend, Willie Nile. Welcome,
Thank,
Willie.
thank you, Jeff. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the new record, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Let's start with the title. I mean, first of all, it's a pretty striking statement, and of course it brings to mind the old sci-fi movie.
Yep.
But I think everybody remembers, their last normal day before all of this happened.
Yep.
What does the title mean to you?
Well, it just brings back the shock of this past year and walking the streets of New York City, Greenwich Village, seeing empty, haunted streets with these buildings, looking down on whatever was down. Not many people out, very few cars. I've told the story before, but like I went to my storage space, which is a block away from the Holland Tunnel on Friday rush hour. And the Holland Tunnel on rush hour Friday, you could take an hour, 45 minutes to go 3 blocks. And Friday, it's the worst of all. 6 o'clock, I come out of end of May of 2020. I came out of the storage space, and I could have went to the corner. There was nobody in sight all the way uptown, looking downtown. I took photographs of it, and I could have laid down in the street. I was standing in the middle of the street taking those pictures. Couldn't believe it, and it just hit me. So the title for me, I always loved that old movie, the 1951 sci-fi. Classic, and this was like being in a science fiction movie. It really was, and the song idea came to me then, and I love how it came out. I really am.
And now your last record, 2020's New York at Night, it came out early on in the pandemic.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you were already working on it when everything hit.
Yep.
But what was it like to have the entire creative process of a record take place while we're going through that lockdown?
Fascinating. We recorded this album The Day the Earth Stood Still. We did it in January in Weehawken studio. I always record in right across from the Lincoln Tunnel. We had to wear masks the whole time. Some days, 12, 14-hour days, masked the whole time. If anyone sang, the Musicians Union has a rule. If anybody sang in a room, no one could go in that room for an hour.
Oh, wow.
And but we managed to do it. Everybody masked up. When we rehearsed, we were masked up, and made the album. The engineer, the co-producer Stuart Lerman, all masked up, and we were all excited about the songs. We had them sounding really good, so we were excited. So it was a nuisance, to say the least. And but we did it, and we were excited about it because of how everything was coming out. When the background parts came, James Maddock, Frankie Lee, and Johnny Paisano, they had to be in 3 separate rooms. Johnny was basically in a closet, and that's like a 11-hour day, just singing all day, and it came out great. But yeah, masked up, crazy. Great.
And part of what you do, and like you just said, with all those guys, is collaborating. Whether it's with writing partners like Frankie Lee or even Michael DeBar on a track on this record.
Yeah.
Were you still able to get that personal connection, even if you all had to be in different rooms and different times?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. When we record, they had masks on in the big studio, the main studio. I was in another studio because I was playing guitar and singing. Like seven of the songs, maybe 8, are all live vocals. Like when we got a take, we would listen to that vocal, and 7 of them were like, "I'm not changing a word," So we felt that electricity. I remember when we were recording the title track, thinking midway, "Oh, this is really feels electrifying, this take," And everybody is very knowledgeable in the studio and experienced, and so we was very connecting, even though it was so strange doing it during the middle of a pandemic.
That's the power of music. It can bring you together no matter where you are.
Well put, well said.
And it's funny, you've mentioned the title track. It's such a great song. And the end of it contains a mantra, and it reminds me of Across the Universe from the Beatles, where it had sort of their mantra in it. What's
I
the
never thought,
meaning behind that?
that's funny. I never thought of that. You're right. It
Yeah.
is like across the universe.
Mm,
It's Klaatu Barada Nikto.
mhm,
I'm writing a song, and in the movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I know well, I've seen it many
mhm,
times over the years since I was a kid. Uh, the story about a spaceman who comes to Earth
mhm,
and lands in Washington D.C. He comes out with there's a robot standing there, and his name is Klaatu, the spaceman himself.
mhm,
Klaatu, it's Michael Rennie, and he infiltrates, they'll decide whether to destroy the Earth or not.
mhm,
And so the government's after him, and he
mhm,
gets shot, and he's dying. And he tells the lead actress, Patricia Neal, he said, "Go to the spaceship." And Gort was the name of the robot.
mhm.
Gort. It's a really fake-looking robot, but its movie is a masterpiece. It's totally enjoyable. And she says, "Go tell Gort, Klaatu Barada Nikto." Remember those words. Go to the spaceship, tell him that. Otherwise, he'll destroy the Earth.
Mhm.
He'll know that I'm dying. And he, in fact, dies. And is brought back to life again. But she goes to the spaceship, and it's a cool scene with the sci-fi music, and he's just about to zap her with some ray, and she says Klaatu Barada Nikto a bunch of times. So when I was writing it, I thought it might be cool to have a chant with Klaatu
Mhm.
Barada Nikto, and I read up a bit about it. The writer who wrote the screenplay, they asked him, "Well, what does that mean?" And he said, "Nothing. It's just not." So I thought it fitting that the phrase that is meant to stop this robot from destroying the Earth.
Mhm.
I thought that would make a pretty cool chant. So yeah, good,
That's funny. Uh,
good fun.
yeah, and with your last couple of records, I mean, 2018's brilliant Children of Paradise, as well as New York at Night last year. You kind of looked back on your career a little bit. On Children of Paradise, you re-recorded a couple of songs from earlier in your career. New York at Night, you had New York is Rockin', which you wrote for someone else, and
Right, Curtis Tigers. Yeah, yeah,
yep, and Run Free, which was sort of a leftover from some earlier sessions in the 90s.
yeah. In
For
2003, I recorded that track and forgot
okay.
about it and found it. Yeah.
So for this record, was everything new for this, or were you kind of digging back through the well
No,
again?
it's well of those. There's one song on it, the last song on the album, "Way of the Heart."
Mhm,
It's a song I recorded in 2000, might have been 2009, and another one that's been sitting around that I always loved and knew I would make use of at some point. And when I was putting this album together, the collection, I like collections. I like when they fit together.
mhm,
You know, whether it's musically for sure, theme wise. And I thought to end last year's New York at Night album with Run Free was a fitting ending. It fit
mhm,
perfectly. I happened to just find that in a drawer. That's
mhm,
2 summers ago. And a couple summers ago, I forget, I'm losing track of
mhm,
summers. And Way of the Heart, I thought would be a really good ending for this, for the Day the Earth Stood Still.
mhm,
And the other songs are new. There's one on there, Sanctuary, I wrote some years back with my buddy Mark Johnson,
mhm,
walking down Bleecker Street. Um, I was thinking of the old Hunchback of Notre Dame film with oh, what's his name? Charles Lawton.
mhm,
Great, film, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and him swinging from the bells.
mhm,
Sang Sanctuary, and in this, I thought that song would fit in terms of, I mean, I've got so many songs written over the years that'll never get recorded. I thought that it would make a good second song on the album. The Day
yeah,
the Earth Still opens up, and then Sanctuary,
mhm,
a place of peace, and Sanctuary, place of
mhm,
safety. So the rest of the songs are all new, and most of them written like I wrote 3 or 4 of them just in the fall, like
mhm,
a few months before. Literally December, I finished. I wrote "This Time to Be Great." So it's
mhm,
pretty. Most of the songs are very recent, other than those two.
mhm. Yeah, and it's funny when you talk about Sanctuary. I think the hallmark of a lot of the songs in your career has been sort of that hope, as you always say
Mhm.
live, that hope in the human race.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you have the first single, Blood on Your Hands, which is
Hmm.
sort of a scathing commentary, I think, on where we all were as a country.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, is that the only time so far in your career that you've done an actual duet with Steve Earle as your partner this time? And what kind of led to working with Steve?
I did a song on 2006. Jacob Dylan sang on a song called "The Day I Saw Bo Diddley in Washington Square."
Mhm,
Sang on the choruses.
mhm.
I should have given him some verses. I'm kicking myself for that. Jacob's a really good guy. He's a real sweetheart. I love Jacob.
Mhm,
And Steve is great. Steve lives around the corner from me.
mhm.
Steve, I'm in the village. He just literally, I'd be bumping into each other all the time. We've sung together at City Winery. I'm a big fan of Steve's. He's a
He's
great
great, amazing.
American icon. He's a
Mhm,
great writer. Doesn't hold back he doesn't pull any punches. And when we were just about done with the mixing of the album, and I thought, you know what, Steve Earle could sound great on this track. So I texted him,
mhm.
"Hey Steve, I got a song on the new album. Are you around?" And he says, He's around." So I sent it to him. I sent him "Blood on Your Hands," and he wrote back, "Okay." And he really simple and came in the studio. We had a great time. No mask. We were all vaccinated at that point.
Mhm.
It was just before that we mixed it. He sang great on it. It's right in his wheelhouse. The key
Yeah.
is perfect for him, and the grit of that
Mhm.
song. I mean, it's been some year. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's been a
Yeah.
nightmare for everybody.
Mhm.
And what the reason my songs are usually hopeful and optimistic, clearly, because I don't want to. I will never make an album with songs that are going to just bring people down.
Mhm.
So I'll write about holy war. I'll write about cell phones ringing in the pockets of the dead, about a song about terrorism.
Yeah.
But I'll surround that with songs about that are optimistic and hopeful
Mhm.
and beat, because life is tough enough as it is, and we don't need a reminder. I'd
Mhm.
rather have music. To me, the reason I write it, the reason I'm still so passionate about it, is because it picks me up. It
Mhm.
helps make some kind of
Yeah.
sense of the world. It helps me make sense of the world, and I want the audience. If I can inspire them at all, then that's a good thing. It inspires me, which is enough. But
Mhm.
when I can inspire other people to feel better or to feel some sense of hope, then I'm thrilled about that.
Well, and again, and along those lines, you've always had the talent to sort of reflect society without preaching to
Yeah,
society.
yeah,
And, from Blood on Your Hands to Justice Bell to Expect Change on this record, I think you just kind of answered it, but it seems like it's very important to you to not only entertain your audience and lift them, but to sort of reflect the world around them as well.
absolutely. I mean,
Mhm,
I don't write with preconceived ideas or notions. I don't
mhm,
set out, "Oh, I'm going to write a song about this or that." They just come to me. I just
mhm,
my songs reflect the world around me that I see or bump into on whatever any kind of day or time. Songs of love, loss,
mhm,
passion, sorrow, anger. Uh, they could be political, they could not be. But yeah, definitely. The song I love. What I love about rock and roll, what I love about what I'm able to do, just the medium. You can write anything. I could write like "All God's Children," one of the songs
mhm.
um, I can't remember what album's on. Is that on? That's on. It's on Children of
Children of
Paradise.
Paradise. Yeah.
And that's like a gospely kind of song.
Mhm.
You know, Nils Lofgren recorded it last year on. There's a tribute record that came
Yeah.
out called Willie Nile Uncovered. 26 songs, and Nils did a beautiful version of it. But my songs do reflect the world around me, and I don't look to pull any punches, but
Mhm.
I don't want to hurt anybody. So I do my best to try to be kind. My slings and arrows.
Yeah, but during the pandemic, you were one of the artists that really embraced the virtual concert, whether it was shows with the full band at Bowery Electric,
Mm-mm.
or when you and the amazing Johnny Paisano did your duo performances at landmarks across New York,
Yeah,
which for the people that didn't get a chance to see those, it was amazing. It was you guys just going to various musical landmarks,
yeah,
telling the story, playing your music in front of them.
yeah.
And I mean, at this point, I can't count the number of times I've seen you guys live, and you feed off the energy the crowd provides. It's a mutual thing.
Absolutely.
How strange was it, especially with the Bowery shows with the full band, of playing a full energy and not getting it back immediately?
Here's the thing, whether I'm in my apartment with an
Mm,
acoustic guitar writing The Day the Earth Stood Still, I feel that fire and passion. It's
mhm,
really deep. Now, whether I'm in front of a large crowd and they're giving us back, all they got. It's about the songs, that
mm,
whether we're sharing with the audience and they're giving us their love back, or whether we're rehearsing them. When we play them, we play them. We play
mm,
them with all our hearts. So it's not hard for me to um, rise to the occasion and deliver the songs with all the passion I would as if I was
mm.
in front of 1,000
Yeah.
people. It just isn't, it's the song that I'm there for. I'm not there to be Glory Boy. I'm not there to be
Mhm.
American Idol. I'm there for the song. That's it for me. That's what I care about, and that's what drives me. And the online shows we did, we got to do. We were averaging one a month, and we did two of those shows live from the streets of New York. Johnny and I, we went out. We'd
Yeah.
meet 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd meet in the corner, and we would meet the Ehud Lazen, who does all my videos, and he has this recording machine. I had my guitar. Johnny had his bass. We had cables. He had my mic stands, two mics, but you can't amplify anything on the street. They'd stop you.
Yeah.
But if you're not making any amplified noise, so Johnny couldn't hear any of his bass. He couldn't. He knew what he was playing, but he couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
But to go to these New York landmarks in the middle of a pandemic was really fascinating. As far as being able to sing the songs. I mean, there are people passing by, there are cars. I mean,
Mhm.
you're in New York City, you're out there. So it took one or two songs to kind of let that. Who cares who's watching? Who
Yeah.
cares what? I remember. So one of the shows we started at the Bowery Mission,
Mhm.
and I sang Old Men Sleeping on the Bowery across the street from the Bowery Mission.
Yeah.
And then we went to CBGB's across the street from
Mhm.
CB's. We sang Sheena's a Punk Rocker. Someone goes by in the car, hey, Willie, how you doing? So the local experience, I
Mhm.
find a particular joy in that, whether it's running into Steve Earle on the street or running into little Steven
Mhm.
on the street or somebody going by in a car, hey, Willie, how you doing? And to be able to be out in the city that I love so much and play songs, like to be in front of the stock exchange
Yeah.
and sing Dear Lord, Lord, give me money,
Mhm.
outside that. I just love that.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Shows, those shows at some point this fall, I've been thinking about, they're not available anymore, but we will make them available.
Mhm.
I'm not sure the fall holidays, whatever, but we did a bunch of them,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do another one, I think, in August for the new
Mhm.
record. And I think we filmed one about for Golden Down. We filmed that
Mhm.
album. It's
Oh, really?
the 40th anniversary of
Yeah.
Golden Dawn. We filmed it. And we'll put that show out. I'm not sure when, September, early October.
Mhm.
It was great to play and revisit
Yeah.
that album. And it came out great. So, but at some point we'll put all the shows, I think we'll call it, you know,
Mhm.
if we have a title for it, the series, I
Mhm.
think,
Yeah.
The Lost Years episodes or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. Just tell a personal story, as you mentioned, playing Golden Down end to end. When my wife and I got married a few years ago, Willie and the guys were kind enough to put on a hell of a party at the reception.
Good
And
fun.
one of the things we requested was the gorgeous song Shoulders off of Golden Down. And I believe at that point you hadn't played it probably since it came out. And
Years. Yeah.
it was an amazing experience. And now hearing that song every time you play it, it brings chills. It's just an amazing track.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. We've been playing it.
Yeah.
We played
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
a week and a half ago. We were in Red Bank, New Jersey, at a place called the Vocal,
Yeah.
new venue, great venue.
Mhm.
And we played two shows. The first
Mhm.
show was Golden Down, top to bottom. The
Mhm.
second show was the first album, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And the band just killed it, really crushed it. It was so much fun.
And again, for those who haven't had the chance to see you live, you always have the best live band I've seen, led by Johnny Paisano on bass, and now Jimmy K. Bones on guitar and John Weber on drums. And they really interpret what you do and just make it an experience like no other.
I'm blessed. They're a great band. I've always been blessed with great players,
Mm-hmm.
and the band now is just absolutely on fire. I
Mm-hmm.
think the year of not being able to play shows and just filming some for online purposes, it just really has lit a fire into us. Every
Mm-hmm.
show now is just, the guys are, well, they always
Yeah.
give it. The
Yeah.
show's now better than ever. We're doing an album release show August 22nd in New York City at City Winery, and can't wait for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brand new City Winery. It's a great venue, really great.
And one big part of this record, like most of your records over the past decade or so, is the packaging and the artwork with it. And once again, the cover is just an amazing image taken by one of the great photographers of our time, Christina Aragoni.
Thank you.
What goes into your choice of matching the image to the feel of the record?
I've been really lucky. Christina Aragoni is a great, world-class, one of the great photographers in the world. Since all the album covers since American Ride in 2013. She's taken the covers and all the photos. And this album, she said to me, I have an idea. She knew I was going to call it The Day the Earth Stood Still. I knew when I wrote that song right away that was the title of the album. It just fit the collection I was working on. And she said, I have an idea for your album cover. And I was, same thing she said about Children of Paradise.
Yeah.
When she said, I have an idea for your album cover. And she took photographs of these homeless guys and, around town. I paid them all. I didn't take advantage of all. And great and timeless photos. And there's an artist, his name is Johan Figueroa Gonzalez, or Johan Gonzalez. I think it's Johan Figueroa Gonzalez. He's a street performer, and he does a living statue thing. And he climbs up on a pedestal. He's a short guy. He's shorter than I am, if you can believe that. And he's just mesmerizing, just genius. The back cover of the album, I got it here. That photograph is
amazing.
That's him in Washington Square Park, and the inside of the album has two more pictures of him, in the park doing his statue thing. And the back cover, here he is on the arch at, let me see, in Washington Square Park, and he was actually arrested, not that day, but for standing on the Washington Square Arch. She said, I have an idea. I knew her photos that she took of him one day, and they were stunning photos. And she said, Johan, I'll put all the photos of Johan because it fits so perfectly. There's one photo. Christina Aragoni is totally brilliant. If anybody looks her up on FaceTime, whatever.
And she has an amazing book out called The Sound of Hands, which,
that's right.
If you like music photography and just the passion behind it, that's the book for you.
Thank you. She's amazing. There's one photo inside the booklet of me with Congressman John Lewis. I met him a couple of years ago, and he was in New York, and I got a really nice introduction to him and had a moment with him. And it was like 10 minutes away from him when he's 10 feet away, 5 feet away when he spoke for 10 minutes. It was really a powerful experience, and it inspired the song, The Justice Bell, and which is on the album. Song kind of in the vein of Imagine, Hey Jude. And I dedicated it to him, just one of America's iconic, important people, legend. The justice bell will not be stilled, hear it ring. For every dream that is fulfilled, hear it ring. Hear it in the voiceless ones as they begin to sing. Or the justice bell will not be stilled, hear it ring. Yeah, John Lewis, man. But the artwork, Christina Aragoni is, I'm a lucky guy to have her taking pictures. Yeah,
very much so. And we've been spending some time here with the great Willie Nile. The record is called The Day the Earth Stood Still. It's out everywhere on August 13th. I know you guys are hitting the road. I know I'll be seeing you at the listening party in New York coming up.
That's great.
as well as I think you and Johnny are doing a duo show in the Berkshires in August as well. So we'll be at that one too. So
Great, wonderful. Well, it'll
we'll
be great.
catch
Be
up. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. It's a great record. Again, The Day the Earth Stood Still, out everywhere August 13th. I know you have a bunch of signed vinyl and signed CDs and all kinds of stuff people could pre-order off your website. So
Yeah. Thank you so
Beth,
much for taking the time and for the kind words and for all the support over the years coming out to the shows and for enjoying the music and letting us know about it. It's meaningful, and I'm very grateful. So thank you for your kindness.
thank you, Willie. We'll see you soon, my friend.
See you soon, brother.
Yep.
Take care. Take care, everybody. See you on the trail.
Bye.
Bye.